We've all seen them, these massive projects, huge construction sites, complex software rollouts, things so big they just seem impossible. But here's the thing, behind every single successful one, there's this kind of unseen blueprint, a hidden system that makes sure every little piece fits together just right. And today, we're going to pull back that curtain.
But let's be real, we've also seen the other side, right? The projects that are way late, way over budget, or, they just flat out don't work. So what's really going on here? Why does it feel like so many of these massive undertakings are just doomed from the start?
Well, the results of failure are, honestly, pretty predictable and painful. You get these big delays in commissioning. That's that final critical step when everything is supposed to go live. You see teams having to do the same job 2, 3, 4 times. Just tons of rework. Of course, the costs start to balloon like crazy. And maybe the worst part, critical information just vanishes. It gets lost somewhere in the middle between all the different teams trying to talk to each other. Okay, so if we're going to find a solution, we first have to really zero in on where the problem is coming from. And here's the big secret. It's almost never the individual pieces of the puzzle that fail. Nope, it's the connections between them. It's those exact points where one team's work has to plug into another's. That is where everything tends to fall apart. And these super important connection points, they actually have a name. And understanding this one word is pretty much the key to stopping projects from failing. That word is interface. An interface is just that boundary where two different systems or two different teams have to meet and communicate. Think about your smartphone for a second. The charging port, that's a physical interface. The Bluetooth signal talking to your headphones, that's a communication interface. A whole project is really just a giant web of these interfaces. So, this leaves you with two very different scenarios. On one hand, if you don't manage these interfaces, you get total chaos. You get gaps, where Team A thought Team B was doing something, but nobody was. Or you get overlaps, where both teams do the same work, which is a huge waste of time and money. But on the other hand, with a little management, you get a seamless connection. You get harmony. So this is the whole point. We absolutely need a formal process for managing these connections, a structured way to make sure every single piece of the puzzle is going to fit together exactly as planned. And the way it works is by breaking all this communication down into 4 simple levels. So level 0 is the entire project talking to the outside world. Think of the phone company coordinating with the city's 5G network. Level 1 is the project talking to its partners, like the phone company talking to the company that makes the earbuds. Level 2 is all internal, between different teams, like the camera team making sure its pictures look amazing on the screen team's new display. And level 3 gets even smaller. That's like the lens team and the sensor team, both inside the camera department, making sure they work together perfectly. Okay, so that all sounds good in theory. But how do you actually do this? This isn't just some abstract idea. It's a real discipline with specific tools that make sure every conversation at every one of those levels gets tracked and, actually solved. It all starts with paperwork, but it's the good kind, I promise. First, you create an interface register. It's basically a master list of every single connection in the entire project. Then you've got an interface matrix, which is like a high-level map that shows you who needs to be talking to whom. And finally, for each one of those connections, you make an interface control document, or an ICD. Think of this as the detailed rulebook for that specific connection, leaving zero room for guessing games. And check out this quote from a real-world guide on this stuff. It says it all. The ICD doesn't just get into the technical details. It defines exactly who's responsible for what, all the way from the first sketch to the final tests. It just completely removes all those dangerous gray areas. Now, to make this all work, you need really clear roles. First up is the leader. Now, this doesn't mean they're the boss. It's just the team that needs something from another team to get their job done. It's their responsibility to start the conversation and say, hey, we need this. And next, of course, you have the contributor. This is the team that has the information or the parts that the leader needs. Their job is to provide it accurately and on time, and really work with the leader to find the right solution. Pretty simple, right? But what happens when the leader and the contributor just can't agree? Maybe it's a technical thing, maybe it's about who's supposed to do what. Well, that's where the authority steps in. This is a person or a group that's decided on ahead of time, and they have the final say. It ensures that a disagreement doesn't grind the whole project to a halt. So when you put it all together, The levels, the tools, the roles. What's the end game? What does success here actually look like? The goal is actually really simple. It's to turn thousands of different parts and teams and contractors into one, a single, seamless system where everything just works, all in perfect harmony.
And that kind of brings us to a final thought here. This whole way of thinking isn't just for, billion-dollar projects. It's really a framework for collaboration. So what are the interfaces in your own world? The handoffs between departments at your job, or maybe just coordinating family schedules at home? Which of those could use a clearer leader, a clearer contributor, and maybe a shared rulebook? It's a pretty powerful idea when you start to think about it.